Functional automation means you are trying to automate manual functional test cases. First, what we will do STLC, understanding the user stories. Next, raising the questions. Then test plan. Then test cases. Whenever we write the test case, manual testing. So first you write the manual test cases. First you do the manual testing. Then go for automation. Then only you will go for automation. So functional automation means we automate manual functional test case to verify functionality is working fine or not, to verify whether functionality is working fine or not. Okay. And non-functional, what is non-functional testing? We discussed in performance testing. What are the types of performance testing you have? Load testing, stress testing, and volume testing. So whenever you wanted to enter into IT industry for the automation, these two are different careers. One is functional automation. Another one is non-functional automation. Don't think I know both. Don't think I know both functional and as well as non-functional. I will not know both. I will know only functional, or I will know functional or performance testing. I don't think I will have both. These two are different careers altogether. Either you have to learn functional automation or you have to learn the non-functional automation. So any idea why you are going for functional automation? Why not for non-functional? I know you guys just entered into it without knowing anything. So whenever you wanted to learn, you need to decide whether I have to go for functional or I have to go for non-functional. You cannot do both. Most of the time, what I observed, I always have two different profiles. One profile, functional automation. One profile, performance automation. Don't think one person can do both. In case if you are working for small companies where they cannot hire multiple employees, so those kind of situations, you need to also learn performance. But 99% of the time, these two are two different profiles. Every company will have functional automation and every company will have performance automation. Non-functional means performance testing, which we already discussed. Hitting the server with 1 lakh users, 1 crore user, depends upon the client. So those kind of things performed in using the non-functional automation. Non-functional means performance testing. There are so many tools available for functional automation. Also, there are so many tools available for performance testing. Whenever I say non-functional, just think it's a performance testing. There are so many tools for functional as well as there are so many tools for non-functional. Okay. So there are multiple tools available in the market for functional. Let me give Selenium is one of the tool, functional automation tool. QTP is one of the functional automation tool. BSTS is one of the functional automation tool. Silk test is one of the functional automation tool. Selenium is from which company? ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is the company who developed this Selenium product. Selenium is open source. Open source means free of cost. You don't need to buy. It is one reason why Selenium is famous in the market. The first reason why you don't need to buy. Just go to Google, download, start using it. Okay. And one more example is QTP. QTP is from which company? HP. HP is the company who developed the, they developed by different company, but they purchased that company. Now it has become the product of HP. You have, if you use QTP, and one more tool we have is Silk test. Silk test is from company called Borland. Do you guys know C? Borland C? Anyone know C language? Okay. So Borland, I don't know now who purchased it, who is using. We have one more tool called VSTS. VSTS is from which company? From Microsoft. So I said product-based companies and service-based companies, right? So these guys are doing what? They are developing some product and releasing it to the market. They are developing some products and releasing it to the market because they wanted to do the business. Now, if I use VSTS, I have to use the VB scripting. VB scripting or Java scripting programming language I have to learn. If I go for Silk test, let's assume I wanted to use the automation tool called Silk test. Silk test is having its own language called 4G scripting. Silk test is having its own language called 4G scripting. So you have to learn the 4G scripting. If I go for VSTS, VSTS supports .NET and C#. VSTS from Microsoft. C# is also language which is from Microsoft itself. .NET is also a language which is from Microsoft itself. If you go for Selenium, Selenium is not dependent on one language. This is another reason why Selenium is famous in the market. Selenium is not dependent on any one language. Selenium supports almost 6 or 7 programming language. You can use Java, you can use C#, you can use Python, you can use Ruby, you can use JavaScript, etc., etc. There are so many languages which are supported by Selenium. And means these guys are not forcing. These guys are not forcing to be dependent on any programming language. Message. Okay. Okay. Do you guys see screen now? I hope you see my screen now, right? Okay. Okay. Every automation tool has their own programming language. Every automation tool has their own programming language. Like if you take Microsoft, VSTS is from whom? VSTS is one of the functional automation tool that is from Microsoft. C# and .NET is supported by VS. C# is also from Microsoft. .NET is also from Microsoft. Anything they have to use their own language. So always remember, any automation you use in your life, every automation has their dependent language. Any automation tool you wanted to learn, I mean functional automation, every tool have one programming language. That's what I'm saying here. If you understand, automation is the process of using a program. Using a program means some technology, some language. Program means some language to execute user transactions against the system. User transactions are what? User transactions are nothing but your test cases. Open the browser, type the user ID, type the password. All these all are user transactions. This is achieved by using an automation test tool. So you guys can see 2 things here. One is I'm saying program. I'm saying one is program, which means I have to use the one programming language. The next one is what? This is achieved by using automated tool. So you have one is programming language you have to use, one automation tool. Don't think automation is only with automation tool. Without language, it is not possible to automate. These two are from different, but you have to use both. You want to do automation, you have to use both. Okay. Now it depends upon which language I have to use, depending upon which tool you are using. Depending upon which tool you are using. Example, VSTS, I said it supports .NET and C#. Then when it comes to Silk test, it supports one programming language called 4G scripting. I think Silk test I used in 2006. It is also one of the old tool, but not that much demand in the market now. Okay. Like that, any programming language, any automation tool is dependent on the language for sure. Entire automation is dependent on the language. Which language, which tool you are using. Every tool has restrictions of one programming language. Now, for non-functional automation also having its own tools. Like did you guys see your load runner, JMeter? So these are the tools which are used for performance testing. So when you want to start your career in automation, first thing you need to decide whether I have to go for functional automation or I have to go for non-functional. When you want to go for functional automation, then you need to decide which tool I have to learn. Do you know why are you joined all for Selenium? Why not QTP? Why all you guys joined for Selenium? Because Selenium is free for you. Huh? Market demand. Any idea why did you join Selenium? Huh? Is anyone told you go and learn Selenium, or you decided yourself? Why Selenium? Why not VSTS? Why not VSTS from Microsoft? That is also good tool. QTP is also good tool, which is from HP. Why not Silk test? Why not QTP? Why not VSTS? Why Selenium? Online folks, any idea why you join for Selenium? Java. In academics, some of the Java concept. Everywhere you have to do coding. Every tool for testing only. QTP also you have to do coding. Both. Why pressure? Pressure will depend on the project where you are working, not on the company. Some projects are, like I think she was she was explaining it. Some projects are pressure. Some projects are very cool. Okay. So why Selenium? Because there are more job opportunities for the Selenium. That is the major reason. Why you have come for Selenium? You want to get into IT, right? IT means what? Some career job. So Selenium is having more job opportunities compared to other tools. So why Selenium is having more opportunities? QTP is also having opportunities. VST is also having the opportunities. But you go to Google and search job opening with Selenium, you can see how many job openings we have. I think I also told you the role of tester is changed now. The role tester is called as what? SDET. What is SDET? I think I already told you, right? No? Naukri I showed you, right? Yeah. SDET means software develop. They're adding developer, software develop engineering in test. Let me show you again. So don't think the tester means only the testing. Now they added one more extra keyword called developer. Maybe you would have forgotten. I'll show you it again. Go to some website. Go to some website. Search with what? SDET. How many jobs? 14,599. How many jobs you have? Almost all 15,000, nearly 15,000. See, software development engineer test. They are adding keyword what? So it's not like tester is a tester who will do only manual. Trend is changed. 90% of the projects running in Agile. That's why I said when you are in Agile, automation as mandatory. Why they added a keyword called development? Because we have to do the coding. So it is equivalent to the development. So there are more job opportunities compared to manual testing. Okay. So is it clear? Slide 1 or any questions? Any questions on the slide 1? Simple. Always remember any automation, one automation tool and one programming language. Which programming language is dependent on the tool which you are choosing. You cannot decide the language. Tool will decide the language. Okay. Now, why Celine, why to go for automation and when to go for automation? Any idea why I should go for automation? I already told you to reduce the manual efforts. Reducing the manual efforts means what? You are saving the money. Saving the money is a good thing for client or not? If you are keep on charging to the client 400 test cases, let's say 400 test cases are regression test cases. You have to execute for every sprint. Do you think 400 test cases will take 6 months time if I do manual testing? Do you think client will pay for 6 months? If you keep on charging the client will say, why don't you automate it? They will definitely say, why don't you go and automate the test cases? I cannot pay you. I cannot have this much of time wastage here. So 6 months efforts came to what? 0. But you have to put some efforts to develop the automation. It's a one-time investment. It's a one-time investment. You have to spend a lot of time. Don't think automation will done just like that. So even for automating 400 test cases, maybe you might spend 6 months or 1 year also. But it is one time. After 6 months, every time you just run automation scripts, whatever you are having. Okay. So why should I go for automation? To save the, is the same batch or to save the time and to save the money. Saving the time is always saving the money. Why? Because in IT industry, we always charge to the client on hourly basis. We charge to the client on hourly basis. So whenever you save the time, you are saving the money. Okay. It's a reusable. What do you mean by reusable? my script, automation script, once I automated, I can reuse it for every sprint. I can reuse every sprint. I can run these 400 test cases. It's a reusable. You guys can go ahead and reuse it. Okay. Then error prone human behavior. I was in one of the project, I was put into purely regression testing. That time there was no automation. There was an automation, but it was not this much used when we were there in long back, like 2000, 2006 or 2005. There was not much automation when it comes to 2005 or 2004. That time I was put only for doing the automation testing, learning Java with Selenium in. Abhay, I will explain your answer in the next slide. That would be clarified. Okay. So I was doing manual testing every month. I have to execute the same test cases every time, same test cases. Do you think I will not be bored? Tester will not be bored doing the same test cases every time, every day. Obviously bored. Sometimes I am literally saying, sometimes tester will be so much irritated, they will simply pass it. Yesterday it executed, same thing we execute tomorrow. Yesterday only I executed, it is working fine, so I'll pass it. You cannot trust. Our tester will too much irritated, they will ask you from release from the project. I'm not getting any technical growth, just go and ask for the release. So it's error prone human behavior means there is, whenever you do automation, you have that, what do you call that? The toll gate, what is that sticker? Fast tag. Do you think it will do any mistakes? Does it say I don't have change, anything like that? So error prone human behavior. I mean, if a human being is involved, there are chances to do some mistakes, right? So automation will not, because it's error prone behavior. Testing improves accuracy, right? It will improve the accuracy. When should I go for automation? When should I go for automation? Whenever I have a regression testing. Whenever I have a regression testing, I have to go for using the automation. What is regression testing? To make sure core functionalities are working fine, to make sure newly added code or modified code not creating any defects. In Agile, every week we are updating the coding. Every week we are adding some new code. So there are more chances of triggering the defects. That's why we don't want to have existing system to be having some, creating some defects due to newly added code or newly modified code. Okay. When application is stable. So what do you mean by when application is stable? Do you think you will do automation on the day one? We generally do not do automation on the day one. Tester is responsible for what type of testing? System testing. System testing you perform in which environment? In test environment, right? So first time when you are creating a test environment, you will see a lot of issues with respect to the environment. It's a common expected. When you are doing the environment setup for the first time, it is commonly expected that you will have some errors due to environment issues. We don't want environment issues or application is also not stable. Application also not stable means if you keep on getting so many defects, there is no use of doing the automation. I want application to be stable, should be working fine. No frequent changes to the system. What do you mean by no frequent changes to the system? System means now client is saying today something and tomorrow is changing the requirement. So every time if client is keep on asking to do some changes, you have to also modify your script. A lot of rework is involved. So we generally go for doing the automation when no frequent changes to the system. Application should be stable and there are no frequent changes to the system. If the client is keep on asking to modify, it's a lot of rework for the developer as well as tester also. Developer has to modify the code. Tester also modify the code. Tester also writing coding, right? Then tester also needs to modify the code. Example, if you look at a Facebook, what button you have? Create an account. Today button name is create new account. Tomorrow they will change, client will say change this button name to register an account. So again, you have to go and change your script. So you identified that script as what? Create an account. So what button name they change? They change the button name to register an account. So like if the client is keep on changing these things again and again, developer has to rework and tester also has to rework. That's why we generally do not go for automation when there are frequent changes are happening. Theoretically, it looks good, but practically it is not possible. I mean, agile is what every user story once you complete, you give a demo. Once you give a demo, client might ask you some changes. Agile always welcome to the client for asking the changes. So theoretically, it looks good, but when it comes to practical in agile, you will still have changing the requirements. Then how do we manage the automation? We have something called framework, uh, which is called page object model that we will discuss. That time I will explain you what I mean to say. Okay. Any question? Is simple to save the money, to save the time. Now, why Selenium? Why only Selenium? Why not other tool? Because of all these features what they have given here. So Selenium is open source functional automation testing tool. Selenium is a what? Open source. Open source means free of cost. I think I'll put it in Google Class. No worries. You just take it from there. Okay. Open source means free of cost. Functional testing tool. Selenium is open source functional testing tool, functional automation testing tool. So how many types of automation you have? Functional and non-functional. Selenium comes for what? Functional. It's a open source. Okay. Don't think Selenium is a automation tool. Performance testing tool. Selenium is only for functional automation testing. Okay. Selenium supports only for web-based applications. What do you mean by Selenium supports only web-based applications? Web-based application means which is running only on the browser. Web-based. Web is what? www. Where do you run it in? Browser. So any project that is running in browser, which is called web-based application. Calculator is web-based application. Excel is web-based application. So Selenium will not support any applications other than web-based. Any project that is running on the browser, only those projects you guys can go for automation. You can automate only the projects which are running on the browser, which are opening in your internet or Chrome or whatever. Okay. Selenium supports multiple browsers and many operating systems. Selenium supports multiple browsers and many operating systems. What do you call this testing? Testing the application in different browsers and different operatings. Compatibility testing. Selenium supports that. If you have to do manual testing, how much time you have to put? One for Chrome, one for Firefox. If I have to execute 400 test cases in 2 different browsers and 2 different operating systems, how much effort I have to put? Huge effort I have to put. So Selenium is going to do what? Selenium is supporting multiple browsers and it also supports multiple operating system. It means once I have written a script, it means that once I have written a script, I can execute that script in Chrome, Firefox, any of the browser, in whichever browser you wanted to execute. I can also execute that script in different operating systems also. Okay. Now Selenium supports multiple programming languages. When it comes to QTP, it supports one programming language. When it comes to Silk Test, it supports only one programming language. But when it comes to Selenium, it is supporting all the languages that you guys are seeing there. What are the languages you are seeing? Java, C#, Ruby, Python, PHP, and Perl. So they're not, it also supports JavaScripting. I haven't put it. It also supports JavaScripting. So Selenium supporting almost all 7 programming languages. They're not saying you have to learn VB scripting. They're not saying you have to use only what you call the 4G scripting. They're not saying. They're giving complete flexibility. You know Java, I can say 70% you know. Only 30% you have to spend to learn the Selenium. Okay. So Selenium is why famous. Don't think it supports only these browsers and operating systems. Selenium supports multiple operating systems, almost all the browsers which you have in the market. Okay, I could not write everything because slide limitation. I cannot put more than this. This is the maximum text what I can put it. Don't think whatever you have in the browser, don't think it is going to support only those. It is going to support almost all the browsers with the latest version. Almost all the browsers, almost all the operating system. It supports Mac, it supports iOS, it supports Windows, it supports Linux, It supports Unix, it supports Chrome, it supports Firefox, it supports Internet Explorer, it supports Safari, it supports Microsoft Edge. You understood now why Selenium is famous? All these things they are giving for what? Free of cost. Are you paying anything? See the features, how many features they are giving you for free of cost. You are getting everything, whatever is needed from the automation. You are getting everything, but zero of the cost. They're not charging anything to the client. So you understood why Selenium is famous in the market now. The first thing is open source. The first major thing. No need to pay money. Just download and use it. Now, second thing is it is supporting almost all the browsers and it is supporting almost all the operating system. It is supporting almost all everything, all the browsers, all the operating systems, whatever you guys have in the market. Understood why Selenium is famous? Compared to other tools are not supporting all the operating systems. Maybe if they are supporting, you have to pay additional cost. We have something called add-on. You want to test something new feature, you just pay for additional add-on. Example, QTP supports by default one browser or two browsers. If you want use another browser for testing, you have to pay extra money and then they will give you that add-on. Okay, but here they already added you everything for you. Okay, and now any idea why Selenium with Java? Selenium supporting how many languages? Almost all 7 programming languages. So why should I learn Selenium with Java? Why not with Ruby or why not with Python? Why Selenium with Java? More openings. Okay. For Selenium, Java, yeah, that's the Java and Selenium having more opportunities in the market. You try to search in any portal. This is Selenium with Java. Search with 100 jobs. See how many are for Selenium with Java and how many are for other language. Out of 100, 90% of the jobs are Selenium with Java. That is one reason why we have to go for Selenium with Java. What we will learn, which is having more opportunities for us, right? Do you want to stick to 90% side or you want to stick to 10% side? 90%, because 90% of the projects are running in Java. That is one reason. Another reason why Selenium with Java, because Java also open source. Java is also open source. It's a free of cost. Java is a open source which is coming as free of cost. You guys can just go ahead and use free of cost. Java was initially developed by Sun Microsystem. Then later Oracle acquired in this sense they purchased. Oracle company purchased that Sun Microsystem. Now Java is from Oracle. Okay. Now, one more reason why I have to use Selenium with Java, because Selenium itself is developed using the Java. Whenever you want to develop your product, Selenium is what? It's one of the product. What product? Automation product. So Selenium itself is developed by using the Java. Whenever you guys wanted to develop something, you have to use some programming language or some technology. Why I have to go for Selenium with Java? There will not be any technical limitations if you go for using Selenium with Java. But this is the least reason. The topmost two reasons is Selenium is open source. Java is also open source. For Selenium also you don't need to pay anything. For Java also you don't need to pay anything. Reason number one, why Selenium with Java. Reason number two, there are more Java opportunities coming Selenium with the Java combination. Is it clear? Or any questions? Don't think only these operating systems. Don't think only those browsers. Because of slide, I cannot type more text. I'm just putting that. Any questions? I think someone has not in Java language also we are able to test this. Okay, what is your question? Abhay, we are learning Java is Selenium software in .NET or other language not in Java. Yeah, that's good question. Do you think my, let's say that HRM application, right? HRM is my application, which I wanted to automate. HRM is my application, which I wanted to go for automation. Now, let's say HRM is developed in using the C#. Any application you wanted to develop, you have to use some technology, some Java, any programming language. Let's understand HRM application is developed using the C#. What is HRM is my project. My project is developed in language called C#. Can I use Selenium with Java? You got my question? I think Abhay, that is your question, right? Can I automate Selenium with Java of HRM application? Simple term to say that the language that is used to develop the application, is there any dependency on Selenium? You got my question? Application is developed in some technology, let's say C#. Can I use Selenium with Java? Yes or no? I'm not asking detailed explanation, only two. One is yes, one is no. Even for yes or no also. Huh? Your application technology has no dependency with automation. Automation is complete different thing. Your application technology is complete different thing. Don't think you have a dependency. There is no dependency. It doesn't matter in which technology your application is developed. It doesn't matter in which technology it is developed. It doesn't matter. You go for using Selenium with Java, even though your application is not developed in Java. There are no restrictions. Okay. Don't think C# it is developed, so I have to use Selenium with C# only. There is no restrictions. There is no dependency on it. Okay, now let's move on for components of the Selenium. So Selenium is having 4 components. Selenium is having 4 components. One is IDE, one is RC, WebDriver, and Grid. Selenium is having 4 components. IDE means Eclipse is one IDE. I mean, anyhow, we haven't started Eclipse and all. So Eclipse is one IDE. Selenium is also having one IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay. There are 4 components. One is RC, another one is, Selenium IDE, Selenium RC, Selenium WebDriver, and Selenium Grid. There are 4 components in the tool. How many components you have? 4 components you have in the Selenium. So out of these 4, which is the major component? Out of these 4, which is the core in the sense, major important component? WebDriver. So WebDriver is the core component which we are using. WebDriver is the core component of your Selenium. Okay. Now let's try to briefly understand one by one. IDE. IDE is a add-on. IDE is a add-on to the browser. IDE is a add-on to the browser. When I say browser, there are so many browsers again. To which browser it has add-on? It is a add-on for Google Chrome. It is also add-on for the Firefox browser. IDE cannot be used in other browsers. IDE cannot be used other than Chrome and Firefox. It will support to use only Chrome and Firefox. These are only 2 browsers what it is going to support. First statement, what it is saying, easy record and playback. Selenium is what? It's easy to record and playback. IDE, the Selenium IDE has a feature called record and playback. When I was saying 6 or I think when we were doing automation in 2003 or 2004, we were doing only recording. When I say automation, record and playback. That time there was no having coding, nothing such like. We were just recording. But now trend is completely changed. We are not at all going to use the IDE. Don't use the IDE. Don't think IDE I can record and I'm automated. No. No one is going to use IDE in the real time. Okay. But we still try to understand what is IDE. IDE is a record and playback. What it is going to record? It is going to record what? My voice or your questions? IDE is used to record user transactions. IDE is used to record user transaction. User transactions, nothing but your test cases. Test case will have what? Test steps. Each step will have something like open the browser, type application, URL, then enter user ID, example, enter password. When I'm performing all these operations, what ID is going to do? ID is going to record user transactions. User transactions are nothing but whatever I do, ID is going to record them. Whatever I'm doing, ID is going to record them. And playback, ID allows also playback. Whatever you guys have recorded, it will repeat the same thing. Now let me show you. I already installed the IDE. For you guys, it will not be there. You guys have to first, let me close this. Let me get the HRM URL. Copy it. Now I want to show you record and playback for login test case. Open the browser, type the URL, enter user ID, enter password, then click on login. So these are my user transactions. Okay. Now to open the IDE, you see, first of all, what you guys have to do, just go to Google. Just maybe if you remember, that's okay. If not, try to note down the steps. Okay, how to download the IDE. Just say download Selenium IDE for Chrome. I hope everyone is having Chrome browser, right? From today onwards, maybe not from today, from next week when I am back, you guys, I hope you all having the systems, right? Laptop or desktop. So from tomorrow, from next week, once I am back, so you guys have to do some softwares to be installed. Yeah, did you guys check Java is there? Not there? If it is not there, make sure you install the Java. Very simple. Click on download Java. You will get the link. It will open the exe file. Just click on next, finish. There is no complication steps at all. It's easy to install it. Okay. Now, in order to get the IDE, just go to this URL, chrome.google.com. Okay. Just click it here. Now you will get an option add to Chrome. Why it is saying remove? I already installed it. That's why it is asking me to remove. For you guys, it will not ask you to remove. It will say add it to the browser. Then you just click on add to Chrome. Once you click it on add to Chrome, it will ask you to restart your browser, not the system. Restart your browser. It means it will close the browser and it will open it again. Once it is added, go to here. What is this? Extensions. Click on extensions. You will see IDE. Okay. Click on this IDE to open. Once it is added, you will see it here. Once it is added, click on IDE. Then it has these many options. Select anyone. Record a new test in a new project. First time I am opening it, so I wanted to create a project. Give some project name. Okay. Then click on OK. Then it will ask you to enter the application URL. So you have, every application will have some URL. That is nothing but, this is nothing but what your test environment URL. What you have to give? You have to give your test environment URL. So I'm giving what? I'm giving my HRM application. This is my application. Let's assume this is my application. Then it has an option to start recording. It has an option called start recording. Just click on start recording. See it automatically opening the browser and it is taking the URL automatically. You guys can see it, Selenium ID is recording. You can see it in the bottom, right? Okay. Now you have to enter text user ID. What is my user ID? Admin. All these things it is recording. Now what is the password? Password 123. Click on login. These are the transactions. These are transactions are nothing but your test steps. Every step is called one transactions. Click on login. I think I entered the wrong password. I'll enter again. Password 123. Click on login. I think some application is down, so you can ignore it. Now, yeah, I given admin 123 only. I'm giving ADMIN 1, sorry, 123. Same thing I'm giving. Yeah, now logged in. Come back to your ID. See, all these are recorded. Why these many transactions? Because I deleted user ID, one transaction. I deleted password, one transaction. I entered admin user ID, one transaction. Password I entered multiple times. Every time you perform action, every time it is going to record. Every action it is going to record. So this is now if you wanted to stop recording, click on stop recording. It will ask you to enter the test case name. Every test case will have what? Test case name. I'm giving my test case name as login. Click on OK. Because we did so many mistakes here, I wanted to delete everything and I wanted to start recording from beginning. Otherwise, just leave it. Otherwise, let me do one thing. I want to create new test. Test case name, login. Click on add. Now it is a new test case. See, it is already recording now. Sorry, start recording. To start the recording, you have a button on top. Click on start recording. It will open your, it's already logged in. Okay, it is logged in. Now I wanted to click on leave. Then after clicking on leave, again I wanted to click on assign leave. Okay, now come back to IDE and click stop recording. Which one? Why I use recording? If you don't record, it will not record. Any actions you are performing, if you wanted to record, if you don't record, it will be plain text. How do you run? What is your question? Why you are recording? ID itself is used for recording. ID itself. Hmm? Who will type user ID and password? You don't know, right? What is the user ID? Every automation tool don't know anything. Always remember, automation tool don't know anything of your functionality. You have to write your script. What you wanted to do, you have to specify. So what it is saying, first thing it is opening, then it is maximizing, clicking on leave, then it is clicking on this thing. Try to run it. You have an option to run all tests and run current test. Okay, I'll click on run current test. See what it is doing. It is opening HRM. It logged in. It clicked on leave, and then it also clicked on assign leave. Now where you are in assign leave. You can see it is highlighted, right? So what I did, first I clicked on leave, then I clicked on my leave, right? Then I clicked on assign leave. So whatever transactions I do, ID is going to record those transactions. Transactions are nothing but your test steps. Every test case will have steps. So whatever steps you have, according to the steps, you have to record. Like how you do manual testing. How you do manual testing, you try to open your Excel sheet or test management tool and write the test cases and then follow the steps and execute one by one. Okay. Now this is how you to record and play back. Any number of times you wanted to play. Again, I wanted to run it. Click on run again. You clicked on leave. It passed. So if your test case is passed, you will see all these things are in green color. If you are seeing all these things are in green color, it means that your test case is passed. If you see the test case is failed, it will show the line in red color. If your test case is failed, it will show the line in red color. If it is showing in green color, means it is passed. This is what exactly IDE. So whenever I'm recording a transaction, Selenium IDE is going to write the coding on its own. How it is remembering, it has to go and click on apply leave, then click on assign leave. There are so many options here, right? How it will remember, it should go to here, it should click on leave, it should click on my leaves, it should click on assign leaves. How it will remember? Whatever transactions you are doing, it is recording. Whenever it is recording, in the back end, it is writing the coding on its own. Now, these all are the commands. If you look at here, these all are the commands. First one is what? Open. What is it is opening? Your application URL. Second one is what? Maximizing the size of the window. Third one is what? It is clicking on. These are the commands. Now, if you open here, these are the commands what we have, which is starting with C. Okay. Now I wanted to click on new. Just come here and put the cursor. These all are the commands that IDE is having. So many commands. These are the commands what IDE is having. Now, whenever you record, as said, IDE is going to write the programming on its own. IDE is going to write the programming on its own. Whenever I say it is writing the program, when it is writing a program, when I'm recording, whatever I record, what it is doing, it is recording. Whenever it is recording, it will write some coding. Whenever I say coding, one programming language, right? Which programming language IDE is using? HTML. HTML is the programming language which is used by the IDE. HTML is the programming language which is used by the IDE. Okay. Any code it has written, it is writing in the coding called programming language called HTML, hypertext markup language. You guys have some idea on HTML? You know something? Tags, HTML tag, header 1, header 2, form tag, all these things are coming under HTML language. Okay. Now, what why we need to record? Why we have to write a test case? To execute it, to test it. Same thing. What you do manual testing, that same thing you are trying to record here. Whatever manual testing you are trying to do, same thing you are trying to record. So from the beginning, okay, just close it. Simple. Go to your extensions. Once you add your IDE, go to your extensions, then click on IDE. Once you click on IDE, select the first option. Okay, you don't have to worry about it because we don't use it in real time. I even recommend not to use at all. There is one usage of using the IDE, but that will not suggested to you guys because you will not learn other things if you're using IDE. IDE making your job easier. But in real time, we never ever use the IDE. That's why I'm saying don't use IDE. Okay. Then once you create it, click on record new project. Give your project name. Any name I can give it. Click on OK. Then it will ask you to enter the URL. Whatever your application URL, you have to give your application URL. Then click on start recording. When you click on start recording, I have to enter my user ID. What is my user ID? Admin. Then next one is what? Password. Then click on login button. Okay. Now I wanted to stop the recording. Stop recording. Give your test case name. I'll give login. Any test case name. So it generated all these commands. Why it is saying double click? Because I double click to delete the username. I double click to delete the password. That's why it is creating these many things. So to run it, you just click on run. So always remember, if you wanted to download IDE, it works only in two browsers. One is Firefox, another one is Google Chrome. Don't go to Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge and then say download. It will not work. So you can add this extension only to Chrome browser or Firefox browser. You cannot use any other browsers other than this. Okay. Now let's try to understand the drawbacks of IDE. So what are the drawbacks? IDE can run only in Firefox and Chrome browsers. You cannot use other browsers other than Firefox and Chrome. You cannot use it. Next one, IDE will not allow conditions and loops. Every programming language will have some conditions and loops like if else statement, for loops, while loop. We will discuss them. I know you may not aware. We will discuss them in the coming sessions. Okay. IDE will not support to write conditions and loops. Why it is not supporting to write conditions and loops? Because which programming language it is using? Whenever you record, what it is doing? It is writing the coding. Which language it is using? HTML programming language. HTML itself not support writing conditions and loops. HTML itself, can we use loops in HTML? Can we use conditions like if else in HTML? No, because source itself is not supporting. So obviously tool also will not support. Okay. So this one more drawback is cannot upload files. Cannot upload file means I have an application where I have to upload my one of the file into application. Example, Naukri.com. I have to upload I wanted to automate that particular test case. What is my test case? Let me open the Naukri and show you. Yeah, Naukri.com. Just click on register. I wanted to automate this test case. Okay. So I wanted to enter all the required information. Then I wanted to upload my resume. I wanted to upload my resume. So if you click on upload resume, it will open one window and where you have to upload some document. ID is not going to support this. ID will not support uploading any files. If you have any application, if you wanted to upload anything into your application, you cannot do it by using the ID. ID is not going to support this. Okay. It will not recognize what is this window at all. Okay. Now IDE is one more drawback is IDE is not going to allow you guys reading data from external files like Excel, TXT. Now, most of the time, what we do in real-time project, we try to put our test data in Excel. Let's take example of Facebook. I wanted to create a new account, register an account. In order to in order to register a new account, I have to enter the first name. I have to enter the surname. Then I have to enter my mobile number or email ID. Then I have to enter password. Then I have to select the data. But all these are what test data. We all learn, right? So every test case will have step. Most of the time, step will have a test data. So in real time project, what we generally do in real time, we divide. Script is one place, test data is in Excel file. In real time project, when you go for automation, what we generally try to do, we try to put test data in Excel. Then ID and read the test data from Excel file and put it into my application. ID is not going to help you guys to put your data in Excel and try to read it from Excel. You can put data in Excel. It's a manual job. You have to do it. But if you wanted to read that Excel file and you want to read the test data from Excel and put it into your application, ID is not going to allow you guys that. So that is reading data from external files like Excel or CSV file, etc. IDE is not going to help with that. Okay. These are the drawbacks what we have in IDE. So most of the time, we never ever use the IDE. If someone is asking an interview, are you using IDE? Answer is always no. Don't say that you're using IDE. If you're saying I'm using IDE, they can easily understand. Okay. Now the next one. So these are the drawbacks. These are the drawbacks what we have in the IDE, right? So how many components you have? 4 components. First one is IDE. They introduced IDE and they also introduced drawbacks, right? And they have one more component. What is the next component? RC. They removed all these drawbacks of IDE. Don't worry about all these things. You will not understand even if I explain now. Don't worry. So in older versions of IDE, it was allowing you to record and export that into, change that recorded script into Java or Ruby or Python. Which language it is using? HTML. So you in IDE, older days, I think they recently removed it. I don't know when they removed it. Now, whatever script I have recorded, I was having an option to convert that recorded script into Java language. It will take all your accents and it will convert it into Java or C#, whatever the language you wanted. But now I think they completely removed it. There is no option for, this is for creating a project, this is opening, this is to save. I think they removed it. Yeah, we were having an option, export test case into which language? When I say export, it was giving an option to select to which language you wanted to export. When I say Java, it used to save one file and entire recording will be automatically converted into Java. You can see the Java code. But now they removed it. The feature is they removed it. I don't know why. Because most of the people not recording. Most of the people are writing the coding. They are not recording it. Okay. So now this feature is not there. So I'll just try to delete it. So if you remember all the drawbacks of, IDE, then they call it as a RC. They introduced IDE, they introduced so many drawbacks to IDE, and they removed all the drawbacks and they called it as a RC. RC stands for remote control. RC stands for remote control. RC is nothing but remote control server, what we can say. And RC is deprecated. What do you mean by deprecated? Always remember in IT industry, if we are saying deprecated, it means it is no more in use. In RC, whenever I say deprecated, wherever you hear a word deprecated, understand it is strongly recommended not to use. They completely stopped working on it. Now you take Windows 95. Do you have Windows 95 now? You have Windows 96, Windows XP. They all are deprecated. Deprecated means Microsoft is not at all working on those operating system. They already announced that these all are deprecated. I'm not sure. Maybe I think they would have announced that it's a deprecated. Deprecated means any company developed their product. If they are announcing this product is deprecated, it means that it is not working. They are not working on this particular product and they said, do not use it. So ID, we are not generally using it. RC, also I'm saying we are not using, not I am saying they only, whoever is developed the Selenium, they only said that it is deprecated. Deprecated means strongly recommended not to use. Okay. Now why they said it is deprecated, why it is not in use, what are the drawbacks of RC, we will try to understand. First to try to understand, these are the drawbacks of IDE. RC allows to run in any of the browser. There is no restriction. RC allows you to run in Firefox or it also allows you to run in the Chrome, wherever you wanted. It will not allow conditions and loops. RC allows to use the conditions and loops and cannot upload files. Even RC also does not support uploading the file. Even WebDriver also does not support this feature. We will understand how to overcome from this problem. Okay. RC allows to read the data from Excel. Okay. So these are the features of RC. Now this is the architecture of RC. Now what is the architecture of RC? Try to understand the architecture of RC. Now let's say the black color you are seeing, right? This one, black color. That is nothing but, let's understand, that is my script. Okay. Selenium supports what? Multiple programming languages. It supports Java, etc., etc. Let's understand, I'm using PHP as my programming language. I'm using PHP as my programming language. When I'm using PHP, I have to write my coding in language called PHP, right? So I have to write my coding in the PHP. Now let's say HRM test case, which I recorded using the IDE, right? I recorded it using the IDE. Now I wanted to automate same thing in using RC. Okay. Now what I do, I wanted to use programming language called PHP. I can go and use a programming language called PHP. So I write my coding in what? In PHP. Now let's understand, the black color is your system. This is your coding. In which language you have written? PHP. Okay. Now what is automation I have done? HRM login. Opening the browser, typing application URL and entering user ID, entering password, then click on login. Now when I run this script, so let's say that HRM opening in different browsers. This, I wanted to do the compatibility testing. I wanted to open it in different browsers. So which language I have used? PHP. When I click on run, what it is doing? It is opening your application and it is typing application browser. But in between, what you have? Remote control server, which we call it as RC. So In which language I used? PHP. So what, when I click on run, it will come to remote control server. What remote control server trying to do? The remote control server trying to convert PHP into JavaScripting. Let's say I have written some 1,000 lines of code. Let's understand I have written 1,000 lines of code. Which language? PHP. So what RC is doing, when I click on run, it is not directly going to application. It is not directly going to application. Where it is going? Remote control server. What remote control server is doing? Remote control server is trying to convert your PHP into JavaScripting. Every line of the code will be converted into JavaScripting. RC knows only one language, JavaScripting. So which language you have written? PHP. How many lines of code? 1,000 lines of code. Every line of the code, it is going to convert. Every line of the PHP coding will be converting into Java scripting. Then it will inject JavaScript commands. What RC will do? RC will convert it into JavaScripting, and it will inject your JavaScripting commands. It will inject your JavaScripting commands to your application. So what is happening? Simple example, I said 1,000 lines of the code. Simple example, I have given 1,000 lines of the code, but in real time, you will have huge lines of the code. Every line has to be converted, means you can understand how much time it will take. It's a performance issue, time consuming. Every line, it doesn't matter which language you use. Even you use Java, also it will convert into JavaScripting. You use C#, C# also will convert C# also into JavaScripting. Always remember, it doesn't matter which language you are using. For RC, it only matters convert it. For RC, what matters is convert it into JavaScripting, and then it will inject JavaScripting commands to your application. Now, what is the problem? Drawback again. The introduce ID is some drawbacks. They removed all the drawbacks. They called it as a RC. Again, RC, what RC is doing? It is converting each and every line of the code into JavaScripting, which is time consuming, performance issues. First drawback. If it has to convert every line, you can understand how much time it will take. First drawback. Second drawback, your code is not directly interacting. Second drawback is your code is not directly interacting with your application. It is going through the RC only. Second drawback. Third drawback, if you guys observe, every browser has an option to disable the JavaScripting. If you go to security of your browsers, settings, then go to security, you have an option to disable the JavaScripting. You have an option to disable the JavaScripting. If you disable the JavaScripting, your script will not work. Why? It's purely dependent on JavaScripting. RC try to execute JavaScripting, but your browser is disabled it. Do you think it will execute? One side it is trying to inject JavaScripting, another side you blocked it. You disabled the JavaScripting. So that is another drawback. In your browser, if you disable your settings, in your browser, if you disable your JavaScripting to disable, your RC will not work. Due to security reasons, some of the banking clients, they ask you to disable the JavaScripting. So RC will not work. More or less to say that RC is having multiple drawbacks. One drawback, conversion. Every line of the code will be converted. First drawback. Second drawback, it is not allowing you to directly interact with your browser. It is not allowing directly to interact with your browser. Third drawback, if you disable the JavaScripting, your RC will not work. More or less to say, the company announced that RC is deprecated. They clearly said RC is deprecated. Deprecated means not in use. They are not working anything related to RC. So RC is deprecated long back. I think most of the time no one is using RC nowadays. Not nowadays, completely no one is using. Any project newly starting, they are going with the WebDriver only, not with the RC, because it is deprecated. RC does not support latest versions of browsers. RC does not support latest browsers versions because they are not upgrading their system to support latest version. They stopped it. They completely stopped almost all long back. I think 9-10 years back only they stopped working on it. It's very long back. Point number one, right? Point number two, another drawback with RC is RC will not support Mac and iOS and Android operating systems. These are recently entered into the market, right? So since they completely stopped working on RC, RC is not going to support latest versions of the browsers. RC is also not going to support latest operating systems, whatever you have. Like it will not support iOS operating system, will not support Mac operating system because they completely stopped working on it. We don't need to discuss more than this about RC because we are not at all going to use. If you go for attending any interview, not even a single question that would be asked on your RC. Okay. So IDE drawback, they fixed all the drawbacks. They introduced RC. RC again, some drawbacks. Now they introduce one more component called what? WebDriver. They introduce one more component which is called WebDriver. Okay. Now, if you take now WebDriver is going to support all the browsers, all the operating systems with the latest versions. WebDriver is the core component. If I say I'm learning Selenium, I'm going to learn Selenium with the WebDriver only. So whenever we are learning Selenium, we are going to spend more time. We are going to spend more time on the WebDriver only. You don't have to worry about RC. You don't have to worry about the IDE. Just ignore them. Okay. Now, what is a WebDriver? WebDriver is the major component of the Selenium. WebDriver support Mac and iOS operating systems also, which were not supported by RC, right? And you also have WebDriver supports latest versions of browsers also. It's going to support almost all the browsers. What is the architecture of WebDriver? If you remove the RC here, what is happening in RC? It is converting. It is converting every line into JavaScripting. Just remove the RC. Just remove the RC from the diagram. That will be the architecture of WebDriver. That will be the architecture of WebDriver. Just remove the RC. In WebDriver, there is no conversion. In WebDriver, there is no conversion. Your code is directly interacting with the application. Compared to RC, WebDriver is faster. Compared to RC, WebDriver is faster. Why it is faster? Because there is no conversion. There is no conversion. That's why WebDriver is faster compared to RC. Now, what is another component? Grid. I said Selenium supports multiple browsers and multiple operating systems. So if you wanted to use multiple operating systems, then go for using the grid. Grid is mainly used for what? Grid is mainly used for compatibility testing. Grid mainly used for compatibility testing. In grid, you have two concepts. One is called hub, another one is called node. Hub is nothing but your laptop or your desktop. Hub is nothing but your laptop in which your code is available. There should be only one hub. You can have multiple nodes. Hub is what? Your system. It can be a laptop or it can be a desktop in which your code is available. Okay. What is a node? Node is a separate virtual machine or a machine. Now I wanted to execute my test cases in Android operating system. I wanted to execute my test cases in Android. Can I install all operating systems in one machine? Can I install my laptop? I have Windows. Can I install Android also in my laptop? One system, one operating system. You cannot have multiple operating systems in one machine. So that is called node. I want to execute on my mobile device, node 1. I want to execute on my mobile device, which is node 1. What operating system? Android. I'll create one node 1. I'll buy one smartphone which is having the Android operating system. And node 2, I wanted to execute it in Windows XP operating system. Since I cannot have all operating systems in one machine. Since I cannot have all operating systems in one machine, we are going for using the nodes. NOD, don't think nodes, node, NOD. Each node is one machine. Each node is one machine which contains different operating system. Node 1, Android smartphone. Node 2, Windows XP. Node 3, Firefox with some other operating system. Node 4, Safari with Mac operating system. So there is no restriction on number of nodes. There is no restriction on number of nodes. You can have any number of nodes. So grid is mainly used for compatibility testing. Okay. When I run, this is my laptop. When I click on run, let's say I automated HRM login test case. When I click on run, what it will do, it will go to node 1, it will go to node 2, it will go to node 3, it will go to node 4. It will go to every node. Sorry, it will go to every node and it will type the application URL. Browser will be opened in node 1. Browser will be opened in node 2. Same script. Script is only one script. That is called hub. Okay. Only one script, but it is executing it in multiple nodes. So it will enter user ID and password in the node 1, node 2, node 3, and node 4. So this is what exactly the major purpose of grid. Grid will always have two things. One is hub and node. Hub is the place in which you have your code. Hub is the place in which you have your code. Node is a separate device. When I talk about compatibility testing, there can be two types of compatibility testing. One is running application in different browsers. One is running the application in different browsers. One compatibility is running application in different operating systems. So requirement one is what? Let's say my client says to execute it in different browsers. Only one operating system. Which operating system? Windows. Now, do I need a grid? Can I install all browsers in my machine? I have Firefox, I have Chrome, I have Microsoft Edge, I have Internet Explorer in my machine. You can install any type of the browser you wanted to install in your machine. So if your requirement of compatibility testing is only one operating system but different browsers, you don't need grid. Why are you going to grid? Because you cannot install multiple operating systems in one machine. That is the reason we are going for grid. Always remember, grid is useful only when you are running it in different operating system. That is one usage of the grid. Second usage of the grid. Now let's say I automated 1,000 test cases. Example, to run 1,000 test cases, it will take, let's assume it is taking 24 hours to run your total. Obviously 1,000 test cases is a huge count. It will take at least one day. Now I don't want to wait for 24 hours. So what I can do, I have one machine. This is one machine. I will allocate one more machine. I will split the test cases. I will run 500 test cases in one machine, 500 test cases in another machine. So for 1,000 test cases for one machine, it is taking 24 hours. Now how many machines I'm putting? Two machines. 500 running on mission 1, 500 running on mission 2. So total how much it will take? 500 hours, one 500 test cases, another one is 500 test cases. So total how much it is taking? 24 or one machine 24, two machines. So are you reducing your execution time? It is running it in 12 hours. That is another purpose of usage of grid. You are splitting them into two different machines and executing them. Okay. Is it clear on grid or any questions? So always remember, we'll be learning WebDriver. Don't worry about all the components, not at all needed. Only WebDriver. Now, before going to the WebDriver, first we need to which language we are going to learn? Java. Selenium with Java. So directly I cannot take you to Java because most of you are non-programming background. Most of you are from non-programming background. First, I will take you basics of any programming language. First, I will explain you ABCDs. Then you go and writing coding in Java. I can take you directly to Java, but you will not understand anything. That will create you a lot of issues, confusions. You don't know what is what. So first we will learn. Do you guys know any programming language? C? Oh, not even. Okay. So we will learn minimum thing required to learn the Java first. So what is the prerequisite to use Java, Selenium? We need to use the Java. You don't know Java, you don't know any programming language. So first we will learn ABCDs of the programming language. Then we will jump into Java. The flow would be from tomorrow we will start basics of any programming language. Then after next week, I said next class, tomorrow we have a class. The next class would be on 13th. I'll be back. I said out of stage, I'm repeating again. In case if someone is not listened, again, I'm saying, I'll be back on 13th. I think I told you this yesterday, right? Oh, I think I told it to the morning batch. I'm confusing which batch I told which batch. So I'll be back. Take that 1 week time. So what I will do, I will give you complete Java notes. What I will do, I will give you the material. Training, Java. I think I told you to this batch only, right? I told you to this batch. I did not tell you. Okay. So hold on, guys. Hold on. Discuss. Just listen to me. Okay, I'll leave you in 2-3 minutes. Then you sit here and discuss if you want. So I will give you these notes. Okay, it's very easily understandable. I'm putting everything. I'm also putting syntax wise, and I'm also putting link for downloading the Java, installation of Java. I'll put this complete notes in Google Class. Right away, I will put it. I'm also giving a notes to install the Eclipse. Install Java first, then install the Eclipse. You can download Eclipse only once you have a Java. Okay, first install Java, then install the Eclipse. Mostly tomorrow we will try to cover. I will try to cover one program tomorrow, and remaining programs I will give you some assignments so that you practice. You spend some time practice for 1 week before I'm coming so that you are comfortable. Okay, make sure today you install Java. Make sure today you install Eclipse and utilize the time when I'm not available. Try to do some programmings. Okay, if you want, I will put some programs also which I have written. You can go through it and try to practice yourself. Tomorrow I'll put some programs for you. Tomorrow we will try to first understand basics and then we will go further. Manual testing, FAQs and all. I did not put. Let me do it right away. I thought I can put it after going home, but oh, this slide also. Okay.
Recording stopped.
What is this, man? You guys are making like Raitu Bazaar or some full sound. And you guys put calm for 1 or 2 minutes. You discuss after leaving. You discuss whatever you spend 1 hour time here. Have a chit chat. Have fun. Have talk. Then you can go for right. It's 11 a.m. Okay. Okay.